I'm Chris Clark, President and CEO of the Queen Creek Chamber of Commerce. Welcome to Meet the Candidate. Today we're joined by Jennifer Revolt, candidate for the Queen Creek USD Governing Board, and already an incumbent member of the board.
Yes.
Jennifer, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Awesome. So I am happily married for the last 19 years, and we have two daughters who are a sophomore and a junior this year who attend Queen Creek Unified and have since they were in kindergarten. My profession is an educator, so I have a master's degree in education, and I've served in the various roles over the last 15, 20 years. I've taught pre-K, I've taught third grade, I've taught resource, which are students who need just a little extra help. And then I've also subbed in the district before I was on the board. Currently I do pre-K, and it's my favorite. They're just so excited about everything. And it's wonderful to be a starting point for their journey in education. So other than that, I try to be very involved in our community. I serve on a couple different boards. So I serve on a college level board. I serve on a pediatric advisory council. And then I also serve in the American Legion, which serves our military veterans and their families. And we actually meet right here. So shameless plug if you're interested. We're always looking for new members. But I'm just passionate about education, and my whole life has been spent devoting all of my professional aspirations to public education.
That's quite a bit. And how long have you been on the governing board at Queen Creek?
So this is, in December, will complete my 8th year. So 2 terms.
So you've seen a lot of changes over that time.
My goodness, we have gone from 7 schools to 14 schools plus our online option, and I think we're at 16,000 students now. So it has grown tremendously. I mean, I would venture to say it has doubled in size since I've been on the board. So a lot of growth and a lot of challenges with that, but it's amazing that people are choosing our district and giving us that opportunity to showcase what we have to offer.
And what are some of the pressing problems the district faces now?
So you kind of hit the nail on the head right there with growth. I think that's our biggest issue, is figuring out how to grow and how to provide quality education for all the students that choose us. There's been some legislative changes in terms of open enrollment and those types of things. And so, kind of monitoring that and making sure that we're providing top quality education and making sure that we have classrooms available and teachers and high quality teachers available for all of our students. So I think that's kind of been our biggest problem. We've been a hyper-growth district since I've been on the board. And so learning how to manage that and learning how to provide what we need for the students with sometimes limited resources.
The state provides a certain amount of funding to build schools. Tell us a little bit about how that process works and what it provides.
Sure. So the SFD, which is the School Facilities Division, formerly SFB, if you've probably heard it both ways, but they do provide building money for schools. However, you're 2 years at capacity or over capacity before you qualify for it, and then you have to build the school. And so it's really difficult because the students and the parents and the teachers feel that overcrowding until money is released. And then when they do release the money, it's not typically the amount that we would really need to build a full comprehensive building or school. One of the projects we have going right now is an elementary school up in the Eastmark area. And to my knowledge, this will be the first school that has ever been built with all SFD allocations. And so, things that are going to be a little bit different, typically where we may use steel, we have to use wood. Where we may have the air conditioning and all of those types of things ground level, now they're going to be on the roof. So they're going to, over time, cost the district more. But without a bond in place, the only way to really grow your schools and your facilities is through the SFD money. And we have a great relationship. I have to give some credit to our CFO and COO. They have an amazing relationship with the SFD. They are lobbying for us constantly, and we work really well with them. And we are so thankful for the funds that we've received because it does alleviate some of that from local taxpayers.
But to build the schools at the caliber that people are used to,
Right.
That's where you go out for the bond?
It is, yep. And, there are a lot of things that need to be done at some of our existing schools that the only way that you can get those funds is through a bond. So, for example, Queen Creek High School is a great example of that. That school was built for 700-800 students, and it is at 2,400 around there. And so we really need to redo the queuing area, because if you've ever driven down Ocotillo during parent drop-off or pickup and students, it is really a nightmare. And so being able to rework the queuing system, and we have to move a few fields in order to do that. That is something that only a bond can cover. SFD will never fund that. They only fund new. And the other thing too is, some of our schools are aging, and we need new air conditioners. So you have to buy it first and then hope that there will be money that will come to help cover those costs. And so that's where it gets a little tricky with the expenditures going through the SFB.
And unlike a bond, there's the override,
Yes.
Which is out right now.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about that and where you stand on the override.
Sure. So just kind of a little bit of knowledge for everybody. A bond is buildings, books, buses, and an override are people and programs and students. And so right now we're going out for an override, and this override includes academic sports for students, so data specialists who basically, comb through all the tests, see where we're excelling, where we need to have additional support. It includes reading specialists for our students who are struggling in that area. It includes our JROTC program. It includes staff raises and compensation, and a lot of programs that we offer to students, fine arts, CTE, all of those types of programs which make a comprehensive district are at risk if we can't get the money to fund those. And one of the things about the override specific to this year is our CFO and our CEO were able to look back at what has the override been funding up to this point, right? And so things like JROTC, our data specialists, our reading specialists, and those are the things that they're backing out. So they're not picking and choosing or trying to, make a case for, please keep these sorts of things. We're literally taking what was funded by it and taking those things back out. This year we've made a couple adjustments based on what our administrators are saying we need, principals, teachers, staff, our superintendent team, and then all 5 governing board members had input as well. And so we've changed a few things to focus in on some areas that we see are important, like, math at the middle school level, some additional sports at the K-3 level. And so I think you'll see some of those things start to change, and I think that they'll be great for our district. But really, the cool thing about the override is that it doesn't increase your tax. This is a continuation of something that is already in place. And Queen Creek has done an amazing job of making sure that our tax rate remains flat, and actually over the last 5 years has been decreasing. And so this would just be a continuation of the ask that we've had in place for quite a while.
Because that override has existed, and this will just keep it going.
Yes, so when you go out for an override, you have to go back out. It's good for 7 years. I might be wrong on that one. I think it's good for 5 to 7 years, but it starts to trail down if you don't have approval. So our budget would look like around $5 million a year over the next 3 years that it would start to trail down until all of the money is gone. And so you go out and ask for that to be renewed every 5 to 7 years.
Well, that's quite a lot.
It is.
But in that regard, is the board unified in support of the override?
Yes, so this has been a 5-0 vote. It's something I think is really important, and I think that everybody, when you learn about what an override covers and what that funding does for our district, it's hard to not be behind it. And so, yes, we are pleased to have had a 5-0 vote on this one.
That's good. And so with that, you mentioned some of it goes towards programs. A lot of talk has occurred, particularly in other districts, not necessarily anywhere near us, but with curriculum problems, things happening in the classroom that parents are upset about. Have we had those kinds of issues here in Queen Creek?
I think we're really lucky in that we don't do CRT, we don't do sex education. We really want to keep it to the basics of what teachers should be teaching. I think one thing that I think is important to point out is the government isn't the co-parent of your child. You are the parent of your child. We're here to teach the basics. I believe that teachers should teach students how to think, not what to think. And so, occasionally do things come up that we are not happy with? Yes, absolutely. But I feel like our district has done a very good job of when a case comes up here or there, handling it quickly, swiftly, and making sure that it doesn't happen again. I have 2 of my own daughters in the district, and I have felt like it has been such a blessing. I feel like we're this, kind of conservative bubble of people who agree that those are not values that we want instilled in our children. And so it's why I feel comfortable having my students in the district.
Is there anything that we haven't talked about yet that you wanted to address?
Other than asking for support for the election, I'm passionate about education. This is literally the only reason I'm here. I'm a mom in the district. I got started off on the PTO many, many moons ago when my daughters were in kindergarten, and kind of worked my way up through the PTO, and then I served on several committees that you've been on as well, the Strategic Planning Committee, Financial Advisory Committees. So I really did a lot of research before I even thought about running for the board, and made sure that I was involved and understood the issues, and I continue to do that now. I really enjoy going to football games and fine arts concerts and things like that, and scholarship ceremonies and graduations, because really the whole reason we're here are students. It should always be students first. Every decision we make should revolve around the students. And so I enjoy going to those events because it reminds you of why you're here and what you're doing, and you get to see the positive impact that you're having. And so I hope that I get the honor of serving another 4 years. It's really been a blessing. It's been hard and it's challenged me in a lot of different ways. But I really am proud of our district. We're in the top 5 of districts of 10 or more schools. That's a huge achievement. Our math scores and our English scores are 20, 21%, 25% higher than districts around us. I feel like that's a really good accomplishment, in 3rd grade. And so I want to continue to see academic excellence, transparency, parental choice, and all of those things continue on in our district.
Wonderful. Well, that is quite a lot to take in. We thank you for your time and for the service that you've given to the district.
Awesome. Thank you.